Let's see if this thing works. Apparently we might be streaming. Looks like it's working. I better turn the volume down on this one. Alright, so it's been a minute since I've posted anything on this channel. What we're looking at right here is my RS 660. It is actually started out as a Tuono, but last year, at the beginning of the year, I transferred everything over, turned it into an RS so that I could go racing with it. Didn't make any videos. I probably should have, but at any rate, this thing is set up for racing, pure road racing. And last year, unfortunately, I did have an early crash at the beginning of the season, broke my thumb, and that caused me to not be able to race the rest of the season. Had to get surgery, had to get pins put in it. It took quite a while to get it healed, and the bike definitely got a little hurt as well. Maybe in future videos I'll be able to post something like what it looked like beforehand, what I did to fix it, how much was involved. But once I got it back together this spring, had it all ready to go for racing, got out on the track once, and everything worked good. And then I had to wait because the race season didn't start for a while, so I put all the street stuff back on it and somewhat put back on it. I still got the race fairings on it, made a couple modifications just to get enough legal to put it on the road. And now I've got a race season coming up this weekend, round 1 with the EMRA, and I have to get it back to track ready actually. So is what I think I'll do is I'll just maybe take the camera and I'll do a walk around, show what the bike has on it, what we're doing to it, what I got to change. I figured I'd live stream it just because, why not? And think it'll record at the same time, so I'll be able to edit any videos out of this and maybe make some content. Constantly trying to look and see if I can find any kind of sponsors. I currently don't have a single sponsor yet. It's all coming out of my pocket. So we will see. So anyways, let's grab the camera and go for a walk here. So I've got a tidy tail underneath it. A lot of my parts, people may argue, but are AliExpress. I couldn't afford. I'm a very low budget racing, so a lot of the parts I got off AliExpress, which they work good enough. The quality is good, so that's what I've done there. This was just a simple, cheap. Then we've got the rear sets. Exchange them out. I put a quick shift on because the Tuono doesn't come with it stock. The side stand will have to go away for racing. I did have to put on a chain guard because the Aprilia does not come with one on the bottom. I got all the engine guards. This lower chin fairing used to be on the Tuono, but we'll put the race fairing back on it. There we go. Gotta watch what I'm filming here. That's part of the Tuono chin fairing. So instead of that, we will be putting on the full race fairing that is right there. This is a Hot Bodies race fairing. So what I did was I bought some extra mirrors and mounted them up and wired them into the wiring. As you can see, it is not stock headlights. So for street use, that's not all that great. So I put on some little lights underneath to create headlights, which actually give me a low beam and high beam. And the switch, I guess I could show that too. The switch is just a simple light switch, bar mount. So that's just wired in. I had to run my own wiring for that. The horn inside will be disconnected. Can't have that for racing. We'll pull the reflectors off. I know most guys pull them off for street use anyways, but I didn't. Brake guard, mandatory for racing, so that's on there. The triple tree is actually a racing triple tree for the top. And for those that want to switch their 210 over to an RS, the lower tree is different. So the lower and upper tree had to be changed on a 210 to make it an RS. The angle is just slightly different on the forks. These forks, I put in the Adriani, or however you spell it, these guys. I put their suspension cartridges in it. Made a big difference. I increased spring rate, put huge springs in them because I'm a big dude. The headlight, we'll get into it when I take it apart, but there is a headlight emulator inside. That way I don't get any codes on the dash for the headlight. I did change out the gas cap. I put one of these quick release gas caps in it. That way you don't have to use a key to fill it up at the track. And I did switch out the rear suspension and put in an Öhlins. Now this is more of a street Öhlins suspension, but much better than stock. So I got somebody, one of the pros at the club that I race with, to help me set up suspension, and we'll try that out next weekend, see how it feels. I do have safety wire on all the mandatory bolts. I do have a exhaust system. It also has an up map in it. Luckily, when I got this bike as a 210, it was crashed before, and the guy before it had put on the exhaust and an up map. So I didn't have to spend all that extra money getting the exhaust system and up map done on it. Passenger pegs will have to come off. The tires, we're going to switch them out. It is supposed to rain this weekend quite a bit. I do have rain tires, but if it doesn't rain enough, then I might actually run these DOTs. We'll see. Otherwise, I do have slicks that I'll be putting onto it. So that is kind of the walk around. Underneath the tank, I do have a K&N air filter, help increase the amount of airflow. So this is where we're at. I did change the gearing 1, 2, 2. We're running a, I believe it's 1543 in the back. 43 or 40? I'd have to look that up. I'll have to get that information for you again. But anyways, it is geared down quite a bit from what it used to be. Our tracks that we're running on are actually pretty short track, so we don't need the huge tall gearing. So first things first, you need to change this tail section, get rid of all the components in the back, and make them work with the race tail section. So I'll get set up and I'll just start taking that apart. Now that we got the golf simulator put aside, get this all set up properly here. Somehow my mount that is normally used for this went missing. So I'm kind of making this work the way I can. This is really hokey. Yeah, let's get in closer. All right. If anybody's watching, you got any questions as I go, I can try to answer any questions that maybe somebody has. But here we go. First things first, let's take this seat off. Aren't going to need that anymore. And we are going to need some tools. And First off, we're going to pull this rear rack off, passenger seat. I did have a, why is that? That's nice. My 11 is where my 10 is supposed to be. Why is the 10 always missing? I did have a solo seat cover for this for riding in the street, but my daughter really wanted to ride, so I got her on the bike too to go for a ride. A couple mixed match bolts just to get her going so I could ride on the street. Alright, we're not going to need that seat either. After the race weekend, I'll be probably switching this back to street. I get to race 2 days over the weekend, and then I have to wait almost another month before our tracks are open for another track. So I'll get more use out of it as a street bike than I will as a race bike. Now, a 4 might be an issue because my other set of tools is not here right now. So, old school it is. A 3 and a 4. Take all these fairings off. Screw on the bottom and one on the side, and then we can pull this side fairing. Now it has, well, you can see it, it has these little teeth that they have to, there we go, now you can see that. Slide it back or you're going to break them right off. Keep the screws all together so that when I put it back together, I'm not searching for more screws again. Those ones loose. We need that 3 mil. Hopefully I have a 3. It is not a 3. Oh. Yeah, I didn't think that was going to work. There she is. Oh, there goes one. Grab that. I don't know if you want to see what we're doing in here. Right down inside, we have all of these screws. There we go. All of these screws here, all of them got to come out. Then we got to pull the key out, get the tail light screws out, take out these screws over here, and get all of that taken out. And I'll bring this thing even closer yet. There we go. Maybe that's better. Like I said, this used to be my, well, it still is, my golf simulator. Now that it's summer, you got too many other things to play with, too many hobbies. It's kind of on hold. Although today is really raining, so I probably should have been playing some golf today in here. With a broken thumb, Really affects your golf grip. All right. It's almost done. Another 4mm in the bottom. They are not short on screws for putting these things together. There we go. That's the side out. Now, where did I had a bag for all of my screws for this? Keep them all together. We are going to lose them. Yeah, we'll put them here for now and we'll keep them all together later. Moving to the other side. Make sure people can see what I'm doing. The camera above is actually my putting camera for the simulator. On my other channel, I've streamed once or twice for golf simulation, but people watching this are probably not interested in golf as much as they are racing. Now, because this has that Öhlins shock on it, you can't use the one screw in the bottom of this side piece, because the Öhlins mounts right over top of it. Don't think they considered putting it back to street once you make this thing a race bike, but there we go. There goes another one. I'll get those screws here out of the way. I don't want to lose them. There we go. See, that hand is still not good. Keep dropping screws. All right. Already getting really close here. All right, there's one. Pull these top brackets off too. These support the tail light, and to space them up a little bit because of the aftermarket solo seat. All right, there's those two washers, and the tail light should slide right back off. And then down in here, wiggle the wires off, disconnect the connector. There's just enough room to feed the plug connector right out. There you go. Now somebody might be thinking, what are you going to do for getting a check engine light on it when the bike turns on and doesn't see the tail light? Got one of these. This is from Jet Prime. It is called a tail light emulator. Put it in there, the bike's going to think it still has a tail light. So we just tuck it right back inside here. And unfortunately, I still have to get in with all these other wires that are in here. So what I'm going to do is take this seat latch off, because the seat latch is not needed for the race tail. All right, there you go. And then you just pull up gently on this cable and disconnect it from the latch. And now you got that all apart. Now the lock, around the camera back here, the lock has a little clip that you pull, and then you can just slide the whole lock assembly down with a little wiggle. twist. You can get the top bracket out, throw it on the floor if you want, and drop the lock. There you go. So that's how you get that off. Now we're going to need to keep the key. Put it back in the ignition. So this is not required, but it's always a good practice just to put it back together the way it was, because you never know how long you're going to be before you put it back together and forget how it goes. So there we go. Put that all back together, clip on it. We can put that away in the box. Ready for assembly next time. Now this was my container I was looking for. If you keep all your screws and parts together, because trust me, there is a lot just to hold that tail section together. Now, secured in a container, and you know they're all required for this part to go back together. Now we still have that tail light and signal light assembly eliminator to remove. So this is a really nice kit. It comes with a connector and just some bullets to put them back in to make all the tail lights and signal lights work. It's a good idea if you can try to keep them all together in the right order. Otherwise you got to plug and unplug trying to make it all work. But you don't need that anymore for racing. And we can plug that emulator back down on its peg. Well, actually that's going to be in the way. So now we're going to pull this off. Now there's two bolts down in the bottom, right down in here. You see on the overhead that it's right down in here. And then there's another one dead center from underneath. It's going to come up in here. But this kit has a little nice cover plate so that you can't get to those bolts right away. Looks like my main camera is losing signal a little bit there, kicking in and out. Oh well, it is what it is. So, I'm going to disconnect this plate from the bottom of the eliminator. I used a little bit of blue Loctite on them because any motorcycle has some vibration and screws are going to tend to go missing. Alright, and that gets that plate off. I'll show you what that looks like. It's this nice flat plate, covers all the wires and screw connections, keeps it all clean. Now I have access to get to those screws in the bottom. For that, I am going to use a little extension. Remove the center screw. This really hides a lot, doesn't it? Anyway, that's an old plate. That doesn't work. Now, these screws here, you will need to save these ones. They have to go back in. And there's a nut on the back side. So don't drop that down into all the electrical and behind the battery, or you're going to be taking apart more than you wanted to. Okay. There she comes. Holding that nut so we don't lose it. Now carefully pull this out or you'll unplug all of those bullets that are organized. There, now the assembly's out. Put that away. And because it's all part of the tail section, I'm going to put all the screws from that, except that I need those two with the nuts. So one will go in there. All these little baby ones for that undertail piece go in the box. And now we won't lose them. Now, next step is technically put these screws and nuts back in place just to hold this under section in place. Now, one of the modifications that I did to mine, this is not something you have to do, but because I have a pretty good connection with Aprilia, being that I work at an Aprilia dealer, I have access to the computer to plug into this thing, clear any codes, do any service work, all of that. So I don't want to have to take my tail section off all the time. So what I did, just tightening these nuts up here. Now we can put that emulator back down where it goes. There we go. All right. What I did was, I'll grab the camera here again. Right down in here, this is your diagnostic plug for the computer. Drilled a hole, put a plug in it, and then if you look underneath in the bottom, all you gotta do is pull this plug out, and that diagnostic plug will come right out with it. You might also notice here, I mounted one of those battery tender leads so that I can just charge my battery without taking the tail section off to get to the battery. Simple. Now, everything is disconnected. Taillight emulator is in place. That's just our signal lights. That can just sit down on the side. All ready to go. That little plate is the serial number because when mine crashed, I blew the whole assembly apart. Next year, we're going to probably do something different, get one of those aftermarket ones. If I can keep racing, find me a sponsor. All right. Now, next we can pull those passenger pegs off. These are also a little bit of Loctite on them. Hopefully we can get them. I don't have my T40 here. There we go, got one. And this one, I think we're going to be a little bit more in trouble. Let's see, do I have my T40 here? Might. Because I use T40s. Oh, this might be T45. Oh, dang. This one looks right. There you go. One down, one to go. Some mirrors are going to go soon too. Keep banging them. I have to use the smaller tool for that. If I can find where my bit went. Figures. All right. Never fails, drop a bit. Because of all the rain, my floor is pretty damp here too. All right. Try not to do too much here. Raise this bench up a little bit. Not everybody has one of these lifts, but I'll tell you, they sure are nice to have. All right, how bad does that look? It's not too terrible. Something like that. Get in here and pick this other one up. All right. Now, one step closer here. If I don't put these tools away right away, I'm going to start losing them while I'm live streaming. Okay, that bolt where it goes. Now, the other thing that I like to do, that I'm going to have to do, is I did have my 4 here. That would have been nice. Need a 5. I'm kind of wishing I had my set here. Okay. So, down on this side, let's get the camera a little closer so you can see what I'm doing. Move some lighting over a little bit. You get to see my dirty garage. So, actually, maybe we can bring this in right close. Don't worry. Someday, when this gets a little easier to do. Alright, I'm going to take this off because I have a brake switch on the back side. And on this bike, I have eliminated the ABS. The sensors are still there because it uses them for traction control, but the brake light is obviously not there, and it needed Now maybe somebody can explain it to me if I'm wrong, but I like to take the brake switch off of this. One, because if I crash, I don't need to rip the brake switch all apart. And two, where'd that? That's a 4. Sorry to get the camera's view. So this brake switch, you tuck it up inside the tail section. So but you want it to think that it's still fully closed, not applying the brake. Oops, there we go. So I'm going to take that off. And this switch, you want it to be depressed, not sad, squeezed. Stupid joke, I know, dad joke, that's what I am. Now, did my electrical tape? Yes, it did. So now, that's what I'll do is take this switch, I'm going to secure it in the closed position so it thinks the brake is not applied. And it'll stay that way. Because I don't need the ABS thinking the brake is applied and nothing's happening and traction control getting messed up. So there, now it thinks I'm not on the brakes. And you may wonder, how did you make the ABS no longer usable? Because on a race bike, some guys like ABS. Some guys complain the feel is not there. It's not as sensitive. You get a spongy feel out of ABS levers. Everybody's ever talked to, the race bikes and that, they all disable the ABS. Now, I'm not a pro rider, so I don't know all the ins and outs, but I like the way the brake feels without ABS. It's very firm. I did change out this master cylinder up here. So this is a big master cylinder for the brakes that are on this thing. It's maybe even too big, but it gives me a very sensitive, very strong front brake. Which may be why I flipped over and broke my thumb. But that's a different story for a different time. All right, need some Loctite on these bolts. Do not use red Loctite unless you never want to get it apart again, especially using AliExpress rear sets. The aluminum is good, but I'd rather it not become a permanent fixture. Now, rear sets are fully adjustable, but I like mine in this position that I've found. So that's what we're going to use. Get it through here, get it into there. I'm going to have to torque this later because I don't have my 5mm here with the torque wrench. All the experience of mechanicking, maybe I could get it right. Anybody chatting? Nobody saying anything? That's all right. Now that is not torque to spec. It's not torque to yield either. All right, a little bit of free play in the pedal, which is good. I want your brakes dragging. The other thing I have to do, this is kind of an ugly thing, but part of our club regulations is I need to put tape. And yes, duct tape is something that they use on this master cylinder right here. Because they don't want that cap coming loose. And they want it to be like a secondary secure so that it doesn't come loose and spill brake fluid on the track. And you'll notice, maybe you noticed that the brake fluid in there, I didn't have it all the way to full. You don't want it to full, especially on a race bike. Brakes get hot, that fluid's going to expand, and it could lock up your brakes. It'd be a bad day. All right, let's get rid of this chin fairing while we're here. Now, is what I need to do is I need to take one of these quarter turn fasteners, because mine on the race fairing, when I crashed, blew it apart. So, something I figured out with these is if you ever have these quarter turn fasteners on your bodywork, and they just keep falling off, generally when they give you one of these, they give you a plastic washer. If I can show it there. This is an O-ring, but they give you a little plastic washer that is supposed to fit right here and hold the fastener from falling out. Well, it's just a little plastic washer, and sometimes they get loose and then they just come off. So is what I found is on the new one here, when we put it on, I will actually put this O-ring onto the peg after the washer goes through, and then this will secure it so it won't fall off. So here we go. Put it through, and we'll put the washer on, and then this tiny little O-ring, I don't drop it and lose it, and out of frame, there we go. And we will feed the O-ring over that lip, and now it can't come out. Little trick I found. Now, because this is off, it's a good idea to check. The oil filter is safety wired on with a clamp. The drain plug has been drilled and is safety wired. And you want to see that? We'll go for a little walk here. And probably need a light. Let's bring the light to the other side. All right. So up there we have a clamp on the oil filter, and then safety wired to make sure that the oil filter will not come off. Our club restricts that you are not allowed to use a K&N oil filter. I know you guys maybe like K&N oil filters. Some guys are like, well, it's a really good filter. Sure, but they have a socket on the end. This does not. The problem is people use that socket to tighten those oil filters, and then that oil filter has the potential on the track at high RPMs and high oil pressure to split. And we've seen it on our track many times. It'll blow that oil filter apart, and then you got oil all over your tires and on the track. Ruins the whole day for everyone. So we do not use K&N oil filters on our race bikes. And this down here, you drill your drain plug. Now you can buy pre-drilled drain plugs, but take your time. You can drill some holes in it and then just wire it over to that little fin. Well, that's safety wired on there. Next, I think, pull that side stand off. So let's pull that apart. What do we need? We need like a 17. Pull the nut off the back side. Because in our racing, you cannot have a side stand. You do not want this deploying on you while you're flying down the track. And you don't want it to deploy if you crash and come up and cause more harm than necessary. Looks like a 12 or a 13. I can see comments if somebody wants to comment. If anybody got questions. Just going to make sure everything's still working over there. It's the first time I've really streamed before. What I should do. Oh, that is a 13 or 14. And I don't know if my 14's here. It's a 13. Okay. 3/8 ratchet. Where'd you go? You guys see it? I don't see it. There it is. I'm going to do something here. I might lose the feed just for a second. Don't worry. It'll come back. Let's go to and just doing something here on my phone. Look like we're losing the feed, which is cool. So over there so I can see this. And then he's going to want to know that. So that's what I have to do. Let's go here. Go. This is going to be all over the place. Surprised that's working. It's kind of cool how this stuff's set up. See, oh, hang on. Get in there. Get in there. And then we need to go here. Just doing some technical crap. Just hang on. Here. And then we're going to take that. And I want to, kind of annoying. Wait a minute. All right. Hey, bear with me here. There we go. Oh, hang on. And we'll go here. And then we'll go here and we'll say, I know you guys can't see what I'm doing. Just playing with my phone here for a second. Gotta set something up. There we go. There. Is the camera working? There we go. Okay, cool. Working. Alright, let's take this side stand off. Sorry, I'm inside the camera view here. I'm just taking a look at something. Alright, there we go. Now the spring is going to fight you. And here goes the bolt. Okay. There we go. Take that spring off. Put the bolt back in. Save my nut and my washer for next time. There we go. Now, everything's still working over here. Move this out of the way so it's not in the way. Microphone's still on. I think everybody can see me. All right. Perfect. Let's put that chin fairing on. We can lower the bike down. Now, all these hoses, some people would say you need catch cans for them. In our league club, as long as they're inside the belly pan and your belly pan is sealed, there's no worry about it leaking onto the track. So they say. Back in supermoto days, we used to use catch cans all the time. There we go. Perfect. Now we'll go back to this side. I think this setup might work better. The light and everything on it. All right. Get this guy in first. There we go. Now I can line up these. Now these don't line up just perfect. Ever since I crashed, because I had to re-fiberglass half the front of this bike. Should have made videos on that, but this whole half on the front, all of it, this whole section was broke right off. Can't really see it on the video here. I don't know what happened to my mouse. Let's see if I can move this one down a little bit. This one's locked. Move this. Yeah, we're not going to see it. That's okay. It is what it is. Just have to deal with it. All right. So, as I was saying, this whole upper section, camera over here, this whole upper section was broke off like this. It was all gone. I had to rebuild and refiberglass all of it. So, a couple cracks in the paint because it just didn't like these bolts getting put on. I had to refiberglass. You can see there's a crack still from here, from where it broke. But it actually turned out pretty freaking nice for how broke it was. Now, headlights. Oh, let's lower the, I think we should lower the bike down and focus on the top here now. Okay. Hopefully get enough air in the compressor. All right. All right. So unfortunately, this whole front, we're going to have to take the windshield off, dash off to gain access to the wires for the headlights and signal lights. So let's get to that. So what I'm going to do first, though, is go get my drill, because it was used somewhere else and then got set down. What time is it? Not time to go to bed yet. Gotta go to work tomorrow. All right. Now, okay, I'll pull this windscreen off. All right, there we go. One beautiful windscreen. Set that aside, don't want to get that all scratched up. I'm going to pull this dash out. Now, if anybody's worked on these before, you know that under here, there is a rat's nest of wiring up under behind here. And it is a trick to get them all tucked away nice. So, this here is one signal light wire. Simply unplug that one. Don't want to disturb too much under here. There's another signal light wire. And we'll reach underneath here and pull that side out. Reach in here. Pull that one out. Now, this is my headlight emulator. It tells the brains of the bike that it still has a headlight when it really doesn't. And this is if I really want to spend some money, I can get GPS tracking on my lap times. With some sponsorship, anybody? I could actually afford to buy that, and then I could keep track of my lap times. So, next, this is my homemade embarrassment of wiring to make those spotlight headlights down there work. So what I need to do is unplug the grounds, which unfortunately are really trying to be stubborn. Let's get some pliers. Unplug the grounds. That goes to the frame direct. Ground out, and when this wire is positive. From the battery, it's fused, so that way it won't blow out if something gets shorted. And all of this mess is the high and low that come from the switch for both lights on the front. There we go. Now, gently pull those down, out the bottom, and same on the other side. Down and out the bottom. There we go. Now these, if I was really good, We don't want any of these to short to each other or cause any issues while I'm riding. Now, if you do wire things up, make sure you always put the female from the battery because it protects the terminal and it's less chance of it shorting on something. Or use proper connectors with waterproof fittings and stuff like that, but we're not doing that. All right. I'm not going to connect that back up because that is just to the switch. But I am going to secure all these wires, and then the grounds after the positives get wrapped. So that they are all in one place for next time when we decide to turn this back into a street bike in a couple weeks. If we do that, we'll see. So tuck it nicely down in the side, out of the way. Signal lights wires, tuck them back in there, out of the way. Everything else is tucked nice. Now there's lots of room for this guy to go back in. There, beautiful. Now we can put this cover back on. And just like that, front end looks like she's just about ready to go. Now, gently cross thread those into place. Oh wait, no, don't cross thread those. Make sure this nut is pushed in the right direction. And emulator's fighting me. It fell out, that's why. It didn't go in the slot. There we go. Tuck it down in there. Nice and neat. There she is. Now let's start it by hand. Let's see if it'll bite. There we go. Beautiful. Now, we don't need to use power to torque them down. Tiny little screws. It's just a plastic dash. There you go. Now, let's get those other things out of there. If you can find your 10 mil, grab a 10, and mine has 5 in those mirrors. Where did my 5 go? There you are. Take this mirror off. Under this fairing, I've got a couple spacers. Again, because I'm going to fix the fiberglass. It didn't fit just perfect. A little different shape than it was originally. I don't know if I'm talking too quiet. Maybe I'm talking too quiet. All right, there we go. The nut and my 2 spacers that are going to fall out. There they are. Pull out the signal light. There we go. Another AliExpress purchase. So these mirrors have signal lights on them because the stock mirrors on a Tuono, as I said earlier in the stream, this bike was a Tuono. They're in a completely different location. They aren't on the mirror like an RS is. But that's what we do have. Are these close-offs for the mirrors. And these ones I've put nylocks on them. So I do not want them coming loose going down the track. So we'll put one in. And then the other one, I need my spacers, which are just thick washers. So we'll tuck that up underneath fairing. Feed the bolt through, there we go. There. Now we need a 4mm and my 10mm. And the 10mm. Why is the 10mm always gone? Where did I put it? Anybody see me where I put it? Seriously, where did I put it? Huh. I just had it, didn't I? Weird. I have to play the video back. Where's the 10mm? Who saw me put the 10mm down? Oh, I dropped it, didn't I? There it is. Always goes missing. Snug it up a little bit first. That one gets first because of the spacers. And then this one at the back. There we go. Nice secure fairing. And we'll do the same to the other side. That is the 4. All right. This side looking close enough. There. I don't know if you want to be that close to it. Put this in the pocket. That in the pocket. All right. Next, we got to pull these 5 out. We'll just set that aside for now. And you know, I was just thinking, I have to mount my transponder mount too. I think we'll do that later. Oh, we don't want to lose those washers. Don't lose the washers. There we go. Perfect. Feed that out. Put the nut back on. A couple weeks, I could put it back on. I think I might have lost one nut. Oh, we're good. Or you drop it. Alright, one mirror, signal light, done. That is pretty much all the stock stuff that needs to come off, except these headlights down here. Now we got another one of these close-offs. And yep, you guessed it, another AliExpress purchase. All right, here we go. Again, back one first. And then we need those two washers. Try to make this hand work up in there. Oh, right there. Hands are working good tonight. All that physio I've been doing on my thumb is paying off. Do your physio, people. If you break your thumb, do your physio. Break anything, do the physio. All right, here we go. Oh, guess what that means. All right, here we go. A little bit of cracking from the plastic flexing, but that's just can't be helped. All right. And that has got the front just about done. All right, small intermission. Small intermission. Here's what we're gonna do for the intermission. Okay, and we're back. Honey, there's 5 people watching. Holy crap, that's cool. All right, so that was just a bit of my video of last season. And I caught a little bit of that while it was on intermission thing there. That was this bike actually running at the beginning of the year on the first round last year. I crashed practice qualifying in second round. So unfortunately I was doing really well and then locked up the front end and lights out to me for a while. Broke my thumb, got a little banged up, really wrecked the bike, and here we are. All right. Let's go back to this situation. These windscreens on. They are not perfect fit, so you gotta get them started first without wrecking anything. Beautiful. Get this other one started. Who knows, maybe I can start doing this more often, and maybe YouTube can help pay for racing. Because it is unbelievable how expensive road racing is. And the faster you get, the more expensive it gets. Because them tires ain't cheap. If you've seen some of my other videos on this channel, I had an SV 650 2 years ago. That bike was awesome. They're a perfect bike to get started on. This bike is actually in the same class for our club as the SV 650. But you have at least another 20 or 30 horsepower out of this bike. So you're kind of outclassing those SV 650s. All right, let's tighten those down. Gravity. All right. Now those are just little rubber nubs for a nut, little well nuts. You don't want to over tighten them, you tear all the rubber off, and then your windshield come flying off your face while you're going down the track. All right, there we go. Now we need to take these headlight nubs out, which for me is right down here in the bottom. Let's lower you down a little. Give me some light. I don't know if I like this color of the light. Let's see, what does this do? Oh, that's off. Is that too bright? That might be too bright. A little better. That's probably better. All right, so right down in here, this is where I mounted the light. Now, there is a bolt underneath, and let's go the other way. And you may notice this here too. On a stock RS, they do not have that. That's where your headlight is. I think that's your high beam. Well, I've modified my intake inside for more airflow. So all three of these ports are ducted completely right into the air intake. I built a fiberglass intake in there to help direct all the air into the air box. There we go. That's going to make a little bit of an ugly mark on the fairings, but it'll have to do. So there you go. One little spot eye headlight with a high and low beam in it. It's actually really a cheap LED light. It is super bright. Might make the police officer happy that it has a high and low beam. Might not. Let's get this other one out. Because we probably really don't want lights on track. We're not doing a 24-hour endurance. Although this year we did start out, my race team that I'm part of, we did a 4-hour endurance on another RS 660. One set of tires, slicks, and we had a little incident early on in the race, so we missed a good part of the race because we were fixing the bike. But once we got back out, we did not too bad. Now, that is looking pretty good. So let's get that tail section on. Because I think we're ready for that. Lights are gone. I'm going to have to unplug that horn, which I relocated once back in here. I'll just reach in and unplug it right now while I'm at it. If I can, might need a light. And originally, the regulator's mounted up in the fairings up here. Mine's mounted on a custom bracket back here. And my horn, just have to unplug it to disable it for track use. Unfortunately, might be having to pull some fairing off to do it. Yeah, I think we are going to have to, oh, there it is right there. At least I think that's it. Yeah, we'll have to get that one later. Okay, let's work on tail section, and then let's see, what would be a good angle? Gonna be a good angle. Yes, that should work. Maybe back a little bit. All right. So for the tail section, oh, there went all my screws. I hope not. Yeah, I lost one. Well, should find it, hopefully. Now this tail section, after the crash, was also very damaged. I'll show the inside here what we fiberglassed and fixed. This whole section had to be rebuilt right in here. I'll try to get it in the camera view here. There we go. The back side inside, you can see all the fiberglassing in the back that I had to rebuild. So these fins were basically all broke out and gone, and I had to rebuild and smooth and finish. And they turned out pretty damn good. Guess I know how to work with fiberglass. So, put this tail section on. Just like that. Fits like a glove. Put my little made plate in here to mount it. Alright. Really do kind of hope I find that other screw, because that one's kind of important. I found the A screw, but that's not the one I'm looking for. Oh, there it is. Aha. That's why you keep your shop clean. If you drop something, you can find it. Alright. started. These front ones in here started. This one over here. And we'll tighten them by hand. You don't need to be stripped out or wrecked. All right. Now, like I said at the beginning of this stream, I'm not sure what I'm going to run for tires this coming weekend. It's supposed to rain one day for sure, but we're not sure how much it's supposed to rain. So the DOT tires may be what I use on the first day, because running a full slick on a scattered showers kind of day could be a little hairy. Put my tools away so they don't go missing. All right. So shall we do another little tour? Let's do a little flyby. And we'll use this to do the flyby. Okay. We need a rag. That look how dusty that is. That's just, oh, can't have that. There we go. Beautiful. Now, we have safety wires on the brakes. Loctite on these. I'm going to retorque these later before we get to the track. Suspension is now set up. Tail section's on. Engine guards. Lower fairing sealed in. Tank guards. Nice tight brake. These here, in our club we have to have these. Most race clubs I think do. You gotta have your little stretchy band to catch any brake fluid that might leak out. We've got the mirror parts installed. Suspension's in. Front brake is safety wired as well. We should pull those reflectors off. More safety wire on the axle and on the brakes. Got our clutch set up. Quick shifters there. Everything looks good. Your axle safety wired. And let's see if your chain is an endless chain. I have a gold chain to put on it here right away, but for now, we're just going to run this one. I don't see the master link. It's because it's endless. Brand new factory chain. We'll be changing that. There she is. And the next thing to do is we'll do this here. Nope, it's better with some light. We're going to go into the menu. We're going to go into race mode. There we go. Definitely need that. It's got lots of fuel in it. It's ready to go. Oh. That is, as we say, that's how we do that. That light's a little bit too yellow, I think. There we go. So, there we have it. The only things left to do is put on this transponder mount. Got my brand new transponder to use. And then I got to get this mount installed somewhere. Get this transponder mount mounted as far forward as I can. Usually people just mount them onto their forks right in the front, but I find that they lock to lock, it can rub on the transponder. So there is these little flanges in the front, and I might mount it down in there. Figure that out before the weekend. All right. Put away this transponder. That is an expensive piece of equipment. All right. There you have it. I think she is just about ready for the track, depending on tires. If I have to do tires, then we got to re-safety wire some of the brakes, but she is pretty well ready to go. So there you have it. So that was the switch. Didn't take that long. I think we only were streaming for, how long were we streaming? Let's see here. Oh, it's not telling me. That's okay. But anyway, to those that came in to watch, thanks for watching, and that is how we are going to end this stream out today, I think. Bike is ready to go. Just get some tires swapped. I think I'm repeating myself. And get her loaded up and get it in the trailer, and we'll be on our way to the track this weekend. Wish me luck, and I hope I can find some sponsors for future riding. Help pay for this whole expensive hobby. But again, thanks for watching, and have a good night.